Joining us now is retired IDF colonel and director of the International Institute for Counter-Terrorism at Reichman University, Miri Eisin. Thank you for joining. Hi, can you please tell us about the CIA chief visiting Israel? This comes after a series of top U.S. official visits. What is the meaning of all of this?
We're at this stage that the international community, but I'd say at the forefront, the United States of America, are trying to, what I'm going to call, contain this conflict, meaning it's only Israel against the Hamas terrorists in the Gaza Strip, and they're trying to contain it, both from spreading to Hezbollah, where it already exists, but at a lower level, let alone for it to spread further to the different Shiite proxies that are attacking U.S. forces throughout the Middle East, and of course, behind that, all Iran. So there's a variety of different ways of trying to contain that. Everybody right now in the world, and I say in that sense, also in Israel, nobody here wants a regional conflict. Having said that, this is part of the challenges of how do you contain it and at the same time make sure that you are destroying Hamas capabilities, that you are rescuing the hostages, and what do you do with Hezbollah in Lebanon and the other side of the Israeli border if you don't open up a front there? So it's a complex arena that you need to talk about to be sure that we're safe, that we are protected, that we are defended, that we're doing what needs to be done, which in this case is a very challenging one. Do you open another front or not? Do you wait for Hezbollah to attack or not? And if you don't open that front, what do you do with Hezbollah on the day after? We're all focused on the Gaza Strip. We're all focused on Hamas capabilities, but there is that question there, and that's where both the United States and the international community have really important input into what could happen.
The U.S. military mobilized a nuclear submarine into the Middle East. What's the message here? It's clearly a message of deterrence. Is it deterrence to Iran? You're speaking of other fronts that might be opening.
Sivan, there's no question right now, this is not something just new. The United States has sent the most weaponry capabilities into the greater Middle East. When we say Middle East, it's both on the side of the Mediterranean Sea, that's to the west of Israel, and throughout the Gulf, the Red Sea, surrounding the area of both Yemen and the Persian Gulf, the Arab Gulf. And so we have a lot of U.S. presence in this area. They're not the only international one, but they're the main one. What does a nuclear submarine mean? For me, that is very much looking towards Iran and the Islamic regime of Iran and the way that it is trying to utilize, what a wonderful word, all of its different Shiite proxies against Israel. We're just the little Satan, and against the United States, the big Satan. Those different proxy forces in a country called Yemen, in Iraq, certainly in Syria, Hezbollah in Lebanon, and additional groups that are both in Lebanon and in Syria are all right now both attacking and threatening Israel and the United States. When the United States brings here a nuclear submarine, that's looking at Iran. Iran is a country of edging into 90 million people. The Islamic regime have both an enormous Iranian Revolutionary Guard. Many of you have heard of that. In addition, they use all of these different proxies. This is threatening against that country, much more than participating in any way with the fight of Israel against Hamas. We're doing that. It could also be of interest looking, as I said, at the proxies of the Iranian presence, both in Lebanon and in Syria, Iraq, as I said before, but the focus back towards Iran.
Thank you, Miri Eisin. Please stay with us. We will be back to you for more questions. We move to our i24 news correspondent in northern Israel, Pia Steckelbach. Hi, Pia.
Right. Good morning, Sivan. This has been a quiet night here in northern Israel, although now, only a couple of minutes ago, several communities here in the upper eastern Galilee were asked to stay close to their protective areas, stay in their homes, stay close to their shelters. This is exactly what we've also seen yesterday night before rockets were launched towards that area, especially the city of Kiryat Shmona has been targeted twice with rockets. Each time, 6 of those fell into open areas there in the city, causing only damage to infrastructure there. No injuries reported reported as the city, especially of Kiryat Shmona, has been evacuated throughout the past 2 weeks. It is one of the dozens of northern communities that have been evacuated because those skirmishes between Israel and Hezbollah have been constantly increasing since the beginning of the war. Now, yesterday's launch of rockets was claimed by Hezbollah, and that comes after an incident on the Lebanese side of the border. A car was targeted, an airstrike that by Hezbollah is attributed to Israel. 4 people were killed, 3 children and their grandmother, reportedly the family of a journalist. The Israeli military is looking into the incident. We have not received any statement on that incident yet, but Hezbollah there basically threatening to step up their actions. We've been hearing also from the IDF Chief of Staff, Herzi Halevi, that the Israeli forces here in the north are ready for a stronger offensive there. That comes also after yesterday afternoon an Israeli civilian was killed by an anti-tank missile launched by Hezbollah in the Israeli community of Yiftach, which is right underneath the city of Kiryat Shmona. That is already the second Israeli civilian killed by Hezbollah fire there since the beginning of this war, Sivan.
Okay, and what's expected today on this front? Are we seeing an escalation in the exchange of fire?
Well, after that incident on the Lebanese side where 4 people were killed in a strike that is attributed to Israel, again, the Israeli military has not commented on that yet. An escalation was expected, the reaction coming very quickly with those rockets, several rockets launched into the area of Kiryat Shmona. That front is constantly heating up, and what we're seeing in the rhetoric of Hezbollah and coming also out of these other proxies there inside Lebanon is that they are transferring, that they have the ability to escalate that front further. They have been mentioning Gaza as a red line, the ground offensive. We haven't seen that escalation, that really full opening of the northern front manifesting yet. But these skirmishes already cause a lot of tension here. We're speaking about thousands of Israeli residents being evacuated here. We also do know that several communities on the Lebanese side have been evacuating. Their civilians have fled. So the question is, what would an escalation like this look like? Possibly long-range rockets onto the center of Israel, because this northern front is very much